What's up, everyone? The book we're going to be talking about today is a supernatural thriller. It kind of went under my radar. I'd never heard about it coming out. I didn't hear anything in advance, and I was very excited to read it, and it's something you'll want to read as well. And we're going to get into all that, but first I want to say that my book of short horror stories, called The Things That Happen at Night, is available at the link below for just $3. I hope you buy it. More importantly, I hope you enjoy it. Now let's get on with the video. All right, so the book we're going to be talking about today is called The Desecrated by John Gray. Like I said, I had never heard of this book. It wasn't in my timeline on Twitter. Nobody from Instagram that I follow had mentioned it, so it kind of came out of nowhere. And I didn't even realize not only is it a new release, but it releases on July 13th. So just a couple days away. And of course, as always, for these pre-releases, I'll leave a link down below where you can pre-order it today. And I highly suggest you do. John Gray, if you don't know, he is the creator of the hit TV show, The Ghost Whisperer. And so he has some experience writing about the paranormal and the supernatural. This is his debut novel. And for a debut novel, it is a killer. Literally. Because we see a woman, her name is Jennifer. She works the night shift at a morgue in New York City. So the setup right there had me from the beginning. But she works the night shift at the morgue, basically by herself. There's a couple of people there that go pick up dead bodies in the night and bring them back. But basically, if they don't have to work, they're gone doing whatever. And she's more than happy to be alone because she is struggling with something inside. She's had a huge amount of trauma, mental trauma happen to her in the past concerning her father. And so she's struggling with that a little bit. And so she just prefers to be alone. She's kind of gotten rid of all her friends and everything else, and she just wants to be left alone. So she actually loves being on the night shift in this place. It doesn't bother her at all. However, one day it's announced that a celebrity, a British young male action movie star, got in a little bit of trouble there in the United States, and he's been sentenced to do community service with Jennifer on the night shift at the morgue. And this is where things really start falling apart because he is brash. He's kind of an asshole. He's self-centered. He doesn't really care about anybody else but himself. He's a typical, what you would think of as an egomaniacal superstar. Has all the money in the world, has all the fame in the world. And he knows it. So they clash quite a bit throughout this book. But that's when the scary stuff starts happening. Bodies seem to disappear. Bodies move from where they should be to another position. Jennifer starts seeing these hallucinations, very vivid, very real, of bodies and ghosts and things, including of her father. Before he passed away. And of course, because of the trauma from this incident when her father passed away, she doesn't know she's losing her mind. She doesn't know if any of this is real, what's happening. And the whole group of characters that surround this story are just fantastic. I love character-driven stories. As you know, I think it really puts an emphasis on the horrors that happen, and once you get to know the characters and get to feel for them. And this one is no exception. You have a detective who's trying to figure some stuff out about missing bodies and where they could possibly be going. There's connections back to that morgue from different crime scenes he's investigating. So of course he becomes real curious as to what's going on there. There's a homeless man that lives across from the morgue in between two mausoleums in an old cemetery. And his name is Ulysses. I loved Ulysses as a character. He's a homeless guy, but he's not really a crazy homeless guy, at least in the way that we would think. We don't really know for sure. But he's on a quest for something, and I'll let you read about that. But he kind of can see the morgue from where he stays there in the cemetery. He kind of looks after Jennifer because she kind of looks after him. She brings him hot dogs to eat every day. If he needs some kind of emergency medical treatment, he'll sneak in after hours. She'll patch him up. And because she lost her father, the relationship I get between her and Ulysses is that of father and daughter. And that's a very interesting relationship, and things will happen, which I'm not going to talk about. No spoilers. But you're going to see how that detective and Ulysses plays a vital and important role in the things that are to come. So once these supernatural things start happening, they just don't stop. They keep ramping up and ramping up. Secrets are revealed. People's motivations, other people she works with, like people from the day shift, her boss who works the day shift, and a man who is he's of Turkish descent. He's a big steroid muscle head kind of guy who likes to show off his muscles, kind of a meathead kind of guy. And they are going to be involved in eventually what happens. And let's talk about the ending. Once all this is set up and we start rolling to the inevitable conclusion, it's like an action movie. It's packed with action. It's very bloody, very brutal. And we find out things about some of these characters that we come to know that are going to be a complete shock and a complete twist. And yet, the main theme is this supernatural horror story about these bodies in the morgue, how they're being desecrated, and how the spirits of the people are not really happy that that's going on, let me tell you. But there are other elements involved in this too. Ulysses seems to have a special gift for, some would call it a gut instinct, but he can kind of sense when there's evil nearby. Jennifer herself has a gift that as a young child got her in a lot of trouble that she's learned to control. I guess you can call it a telekinetic kind of power. And so we're going to see some of that come out also. But at the conclusion, man, it's just a bloody roller coaster ride of fun and body parts. And there's an Anubis involved, a jackal-like creature that... wait until you read about that. It's just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. There's enough blood in here for the gorehounds, but really it's so suspenseful. And it really builds up the tension, and then finally just throws it all out at the end there. And we get to experience all that as we're reading. This is a fantastic book. I loved everything about it. And for a first-time author, man, I got to say it felt like he's been doing this for years. It was just so well put together and so well told with all the twists and turns and different characters that I was very, very impressed. And so, yes, I highly recommend it. Pick it up at the Amazon link down below, The Desecrated by John Gray. And also down below, there's a link to my book of short horror stories, The Things That Happen at Night. Pick it up and enjoy it. I hope you do. You can also check out my Instagram and my Twitter down below. Join me on there. We'll talk about other horror-related things together. And as always, thank you for taking some of your time, spending it here with me. I really appreciate you guys watching. Got a little bit of a cold, as you can tell, a lot of coughing and nose stuff going on, so I really appreciate you suffering through this one. But anyway, I appreciate it. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.